Hello everyone, welcome back to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. On today's feature, we'll be taking a look at the Basecamp Personal Edition. This is a brand new version that the project management software Basecamp has passed over and naturally introduced to their lineup. Now, what we'll be doing today is we'll be diving into the features, giving you recommendations on how this is suitable for, and all of the lovely information that you need to know. So let's start with the information you need to know. Basecamp is, as I said, project management software, and it's typically and traditionally been targeted towards small businesses or small teams within larger companies. Now, as you can imagine, this personal plan tries to aim towards people like freelancers, families, hobbyists, self-starters that may be doing side projects in an attempt to capture that audience and obviously make it easier for them to project manage. Now, the new version, Basecamp Personal, is totally free, which is actually great news, and it won't allow you to upload a credit card to it. There's no need to upgrade, which is quite good, and there are no ads inside of it. However, there are a few account limitations. Inside of the Basecamp Personal Edition, you are limited to 3 projects in total. You have up to 20 users that you can invite to those projects, and you also have 1 GB storage, which I think is plenty, especially if you're just using it on your own. Now, if you did want to upgrade from there, they don't push you to, but obviously when you hit and max out, they will point you towards the Basecamp Business, which is priced at $99 per month. I really need to do a feature on Basecamp Business because I haven't actually done one here on this channel about how to use it. So let's move on to some of the features. I think the features are an important part of this Basecamp Personal to give you an idea of what is available. Then we're going to guide you through who this is most suitable for near the end of this video. So before we do that, a little word from our sponsor. Are you in a sales team? Do you manage sales leads? Are you in charge of the sales pipeline? If the answer is yes, then you'll need to know about Pipedrive. Managing leads, keeping track of communications, and managing processes can be overwhelming. Pipedrive makes sales simpler with a host of features to help you stay on top of all the new leads and conversations. Let's hone in on a feature. Pipedrive's Lead Booster feature is a customizable chatbot that you can add to any page of your website. Lead Booster will engage visitors to your site and send qualified leads direct to the right person in your sales team. Now, 90,000 companies use Pipedrive, and deals worth a combined total of over 24 billion have been closed on this CRM software. It's one of the best sales tools for managing incoming leads out there. Now, I used Pipedrive at the previous company I worked with, and it was super easy to get on with. Although there's plenty of ways you can optimize it even further. There was a chap in our work who really dug deep and set up some fantastic workflows, educating me in the process. Now, Pipedrive aims to be your one-stop sales hub. You can learn more about Pipedrive in the description below and start winning deals for you and your team in this easy-to-use hub. You can go to pipedrive.com/keepproductive to find out more about Pipedrive. Okay folks, so here we are in Basecamp. Now this is Basecamp Personal and it is free, so you only have to do the sign up. I'll include a link in the description to the personal version, but you don't actually have to add a credit card or anything like that. Now, when you land on the account, you very much get a very basic setup. Up here is the navigation. So obviously you've got your home, and when you start adding projects, this will start almost sort of filling up like a news feed. You've got pings. Pings is where you can start private chat, and this is actually handy when you're looking to add other users to it. So as I said, you can upload or add up to 20 users per project. So that's pretty good. Now there is an area called Hey, and Hey is very simply your notifications. If you're someone that really likes the wording that companies use around Hey for notifications and pings for chat, then this is the application for you. And you've also got activity. Now activity, I'll show you in a minute, obviously when we start adding a project, but this allows you to see if you have other users in there or the latest activity. You can specifically hone in on someone's assignments that have been dedicated to them. You've also got the ability to see to-dos that have been added and completed. So that's like a sort of nice breakdown list of the sort of day-to-day view. We'll actually have some of those. And you can also see the upcoming dates in which you can connect with Google Calendar and Outlook and iCal. And I'll actually showcase that to you a little later in this video. Now, you've also got an area called My Stuff, and this is where you can access the majority of the experiences you'll probably be using, especially once you set up projects, and we'll get going on that in a moment. You've got My Assignments, which is some of the sort of major tasks that you can do. You've got My Bookmarks, My Schedule. My Schedule is essentially allowing to see your calendar for the upcoming days. You've also got My Drafts, which might help for posting inside of your group, or actually drafting up useful bits of content that you might be able to share. And you got My Recent Activity, which we're actually on, and My Boost. So there is an area here that allows you to see recently visited. I'm using this currently on web, so you can use the Command J on Mac to actually access your recent history. And you also just have at the end there a search bar, which will allow you to search some of your activity. Now up here you can turn on something called focus mode, which turns off all the other notifications, so you won't receive email or browser notifications, which is good for working specifically. And if you want to download the app, you can here and change all of the profile, avatar, title and password details here. So let's go to home and let's go ahead and add our first project. So obviously you can add up to 3 projects. So I guess it'll be important to what you add. Maybe you want a very specific project for maybe something like, in this case, I might say branding launch, because that's something good to work on. Release, and I could give it a description. That could be the target. Release the officially new Keep Productive logo. So I've got something very specific. It might be time orientated. You might want to create different areas of your life using projects. So for example, you could have one that's like hobbies. You could have one that's family. And you could have a different project for work, say. But as you can imagine, that's quite handy having just those 3. Obviously, it's a good way in getting started. So like with all Basecamp experiences, you get something called a campfire, which is great for, it's basically a news feed for asking questions and be able to you'll be able to speak with other people, comments wise. A message board, and this is good for posting like announcements, updates, feedback on topics. This is handy if you have like company updates. To-dos is great, and something that we'll probably be demonstrating in this feature a lot, because it's a great personal feature. I've always liked the way it visually looked inside of tweets and things like that when people see them, but naturally, functionally, let's see how it works. Schedule, the ability to connect and subscribe to events on Google Calendar, iCal and Outlook. You also got automatic check-ins. So this is something that is an automation. So for example, if you work in a small team, you can nudge people about certain questions like, how are you feeling this week? How are you progressing this week? Or what's the most important task for you today? To see what's going on without having like it being too reminder based, so you having to actually remind yourself, and docs and files in which you get 1 GB of storage. So obviously you can change the tools as well. You can actually select some of these on. So in this case, I might be like, okay, I'm not actually going to be using the message boards and campfire. So in this case, I'm actually going to be not using the automatic check-ins, and I will be using docs and files. So here I will be like, okay, I've got to-dos, schedule, and docs. You also have another tool here that wasn't selected, which email forwards. So you can bring outside emails into Basecamp, share and discuss them, which is something a lot of people like. Now, this is quite cool here. You can actually rename the title for this. So you could call this one your tasks. You could call this one your calendar. And you could call this one files. So that it sort of personalizes your main area. And that's how you click out of it. You click up here. So you can see now that this appears very, very nicely in the feed. So I can go into this project and I can start adding some tasks. So in this case, a list might be a checklist for launch. So this will be a list to run through, this is awful typing, on release. And what you can do here is a range of different things. You can bold stuff, you can italicize it, you can add quotes, etc. Even add color. And here you can start adding some of your checklists. So if I go back out to the tasks area, you see that this checklist has been created. So you can have lists below it. You can create new lists. So you can add as many sort of tasks as you want to this. So in this case, it could be checklist for launch, could be release on social media. And here below, you can actually assign it to certain people. You can assign when it needs to be done, or who needs to be notified when it's done. And then you can select a specific day for this one to be done by. So it could be next week. You can add some notes below or attach a file. So let's just bump out of this. You can see that this task appears here, and I can assign it. In this case, it would just be to me. So automatically, that's one of my tasks to do. And you can view it as a list or cards. So this is what I see typically people viewing it like, is the card view, and you can go in and you can begin discussions below. Now, obviously, inside of settings, you can track this on a hill chart. This is something that a lot of people like to see, the progress of things happening per list, which is quite cool. You can also add a group, which is quite handy. Adding a group will allow you to connect it to different sections. So for example, if I'm like, okay, social media, and I give it a nice section, you can move it above there, or below there, sorry. And that helps you to distinguish sections in between the task list. You've also got the ability to move it, archive it, put it in trash, and you can do what's called bookmarking, which I will add as a bookmark now and explain that feature later. You can also share a public link and view the changelog as well. So if I go out of here, you can see quite nicely the tasks and what's on track, which is quite nice. So you can actually update this and drag the progress of the task and how far you're getting along with it, which is, I guess, a feature that some people may like. So it's quite nice automatically. When you've started adding some tasks here, you can see a project activity down here. You can get a preview of what's happening inside of that tasks area. Okay, I've got the release on social media to do next week for the branding launch. And over here on the calendar, they automatically be able to connect up that your task is associated to your calendar. Okay, so it actually allows you to view some of your tasks inside of your Google Calendar. I actually thought that you'd be able to connect to your Google Calendar so that your Google Calendar events import, but I can see that might be a little bit messy. But you can go down here and add events. So for example, in this day, I could be like, okay, everything's ready, so it's time to release new look. And I could say that's an all-day event and go ahead and post this event. So what's cool here is if I click in, I can add more detail to it. I can add it to my calendar. So if I wanted to add it to my Google Calendar, I could quite easily do so, which is handy. And I can add what's called a boost. Now, a boost is a tiny message to show your support, which is quite nice. I guess it's more of a team-orientated solution, but it helps to sort of reward team members based on their use of the experience. So there we go. As you continue to add stuff to this, you obviously get this sort of dashboard view. You start to get to see the tasks and events that you've got coming up. Over here, you can begin adding files. Files can easily be accessed, so you can link them from Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, or OneDrive, and you can even upload them, create a new document itself if you wanted to. So, for example, I could say, branding guidelines that I might want to use and begin adding them there. So I can save this one as a draft if I want to. And if I go to my files, I can continue writing the drafts, but I can post it, which is handy. And if I go to my files, you can see that that becomes available. So the great thing is, this sort of dashboard's continually updating. Now let's go and take a look at the activity area. So you can start to see the latest activity that's happening, and you automatically got a daily summary sent over to you. You can see other people's assignments, which we'll touch on in a moment, the overdue to-dos in which there are none, but you can also see the to-dos that have been added and completed. So if I wanted to quickly go to that specific one, I could go ahead and tick that off and naturally go over to the activity, and I can see that that task has been completed in here. And you can do that per day, which is quite nice. Like you can see, okay, what was added and what was done, and you can see upcoming days as well. Now inside of my stuff, you have the bookmark, which I mentioned a minute ago, and this is really just a fast shortcuts area for you to be able to see some of your tasks that you may have done. You've got the My Schedule, which is essentially your calendar per project, but this brings together all of the projects that you may be working on. So in this case, if you had one for your hobbies, like learning Japanese, then you could have like all of that, including the branding stuff. So you get this sort of big stream of what's happening each day. Down here, you've also got my drafts, which we didn't actually, we actually posted that one, so you can be able to see and work on your drafts. You've also got my assignments, so you can actually assign stuff to other people. I believe assignments should be available inside of projects, inside of tasks. I quite like that the button comes up that says it's all done. I don't think you can, I'm going to work out how to add actual assignments, but I believe you can, they're part of the task experience. So let's see. Okay, so assignments are essentially tasks. So they're things that have been done, that has been assigned to you. That's a really stupid thing that I must have totally missed. Down here, you can also see your boosts that have been given to you by other community members. Now, guys, as I said, it's a very sort of, I wouldn't say basic, but it's very great to get started on. If you're a freelancer, I could see you using with other people. I will wrap this up in a moment of who I recommend this for, but I think the features are strong, and I think it's a really good move by Basecamp to introduce this to individuals, especially because it just adds a really great project management resource that is now available for personal, because previously you could not pay and use it individually. So guys, let me wrap everything up for you. So guys, who is this most suitable for? Who do we typically recommend it for? Now obviously Basecamp Businesses is great for teams, and it's perfect for being able to invite as many people and also get started, building your team's communication tool. It's great for chatter, it's great for project management and your own tasks. And that's where a lot of people are looking to this Basecamp Personal to be able to organize their own personal tasks. Now with some of the calendar abilities, the task abilities, and some of the project abilities, and the ability to invite up to 20 people is very good. And what I would see people using it for are very similar, to be able to manage their families, be able to organize some of their personal activities, side projects as well. The way that I would probably use it is, for example, I was a Cub Scout leader and I was struggling to find a software that helped me organize stuff. I mainly used Evernote, but I would have sort of liked a project manager to be able to plot my calendar out, upcoming events, the tasks that I had to do in the weeks in between each meeting, and also, be able to chat with parents if they wanted to come in and suggest stuff, or with other leaders. So that's how I would have used it, and that's a really basic way. And I guess freelancers as well. Like freelancers is a great opportunity to use it because you're using almost a hub to be able to sort of manage all of your major projects. You might find Trello to be a little bit sort of stiff when it comes to being able to manage those different types of projects. And if you want to communicate with certain people in your team or common contractors that you work with, this might be great for you. So the other thing I wanted to know as well is, obviously Basecamp aren't just a company that do a project management software. They are thought leaders. They have obviously the company Signal and Noise. They have a fantastic blog, podcast. They also do, the CEO Jason Fried does some amazing content, whether that's in book format or in blog format. And I highly recommend checking that sort of stuff out. I'll include a link in the description. Now, the main reason that you might be tempted by a software like this, maybe because you want to sort out that project management ability of your own work. Now, I see this as a sort of middle ground between a fully fledged project manager, like say Monday.com or ClickUp, and the ability to simply track listed tasks. So you may be looking at this as your Trello replacement, but really take some time on whether it's suitable for you, because there are a lot of sort of limitations in terms of the projects. You only get 3 of them, which is a big limitation compared to creating as many Trello boards as you want. So guys, if you have any questions or you're curious which or whether Basecamp Personal is suitable for you, you can drop me an email, francesco@keepproductive.com. If you're not subscribed, it'd be amazing to have you in this community. We put out regular videos like this and help you choose the best software without overwhelming you. So hopefully we can give you all that you need to know. So guys, big thank you. Talk to you very soon. And I will look forward to you in the comments. Cheers everyone. Bye.